Hey there, folks. Welcome back to the Overflow. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and good freaking God, we haven't done this in a while.
No, we have not. We got about 3 or 4 weeks worth of questions here. You're probably going to be wondering, Micah, why is it that you keep looking to the left of the frame? It's because my laptop is kind of on its last legs, so I'm going to be switching everything over to my last remaining PC, my big fucking monster PC, which is literally double everything that's in my laptop. And I'm just gonna move the laptop probably into my bedroom and give it its own little desk for just whenever I want to get away from everything else in the house and just write. So yeah,
Send it to a retirement home.
pretty much. So what we're gonna be talking about today is a whole bunch of shit, but usually we start with just kind of what's been going on in the world. And we're going to have to talk about Chauvin again on the podcast this week. And I kind of don't want to, but we're going to kind of have to because some dumb shit's happened there. And then,
Yep.
I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm groaning at a lot of the stuff that's going on because kind of feel like nobody's learning anything. So, yeah.
I mean, that's just it's typical. I mean, we've covered topics multiple times because it seems like shit keeps happening and people just either don't listen or don't bother to try and learn from their mistakes.
Yeah. The constant seems to be that I'm always right. but but anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Um we also, for the entertainment podcast, we might have to just do a whole episode of me catching up on reviews. Because I've got, by tomorrow, I'll have 2 out of 3 done that I want to get finished. And then the third one is a big one, so I don't know if I'll have it done in time. Because it's like
Wow.
a fucking Kamen Rider show. So, um, so let's go ahead and get started here. So, are we
I don't
starting with
even know.
politics or
I don't
entertainment?
even know where we're gonna start because it's
I'm
just
just
so
gonna
many of them.
I'm just gonna plow week through week with with one topic or the other. So one with
Yeah,
politics, yeah. So if we go with politics to
just
start,
go
then we'll.
straight for it.
Okay, so is that what we want to do? We want to start with politics, or we want to start with entertainment?
I mean, at this point, let's just get to questions. I don't even care where we start.
All right. Let's get the depressing shit out of the way. Let's start with politics. So we've got here. Nick White wants to know opinions on Sigmund Freud and Freud's nephew Edward Bernays.
I don't know
Uh,
anything about Bernays, but Freud is. I have no idea why he still has the legacy that he does when. Oh, shit. What's his name? What's his name who was one of Freud's students and then followed up? Damn it, of course I'm going to fucking forget.
I don't remember, but whenever people say should I read Freud, I'll say read Jung instead.
That's it. Yes, Carl Jung. Yes. That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, he's basically everything that Freud fucked up with, Jung did way better, and I don't understand why Freud still has the reputation that he does when Jung deserves it.
Yeah, I would actually very much agree with that.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Freud was mostly bullshit. And he was high on coke the whole time, so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Brian Gilmartin says, is it fair to say that the root of all authoritarianism is hate? I don't know
No,
about
if I'd
all of
agree with
it.
that.
I would say that could definitely be part of it. I would say more than anything, a lot of it stems from envy, and a lot of it stems from a desire for control. Um, Insecurity might be the better term.
Yeah, insecurity is a good one. I would say uh, selfishness, self righteousness, more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, you start getting into the like you watch like biography on different authoritarians throughout the ages. One constant that you will see when it comes to them is that they've all got issues. They're all broken people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Miguel Barrera said, "Did you hear about COVID cases in Texas and Florida dropping despite reopening quickly, as the CDC said?" Well, yeah,
Yep.
that's because, well, to be honest with you, Texas and Florida have better governors than a lot of other states.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's almost like that thing that I said a long time ago, how people are more likely to comply with masks when they're optional as opposed to when they're mandated is a thing. Yes, here's some evidence to that.
Yeah. I personally am
Someone,
not pleased that like the vaccine has had such a successful rollout, yet there are so many states that are still mandating masks or even just businesses. I'm
oh
like,
God,
I'm like, for
North
fuck's
Carolina
sake, guys.
North Carolina keeps fucking moving the goalposts. You know, first the restrictions were going to lift when the vaccine was available. Then they were going to lift when over 50% of people had been vaccinated, or at least had the first dose. And now it's we want 2/3 of people to be vaccinated, and we want there to be a consistent downward trend in new cases.
How about we do this? How about we like pass something that says the government can't mandate you to wear anything?
Yeah, it's almost like they can't anyway, and this is an overreach of authority.
Yeah. But it's authority that people just gave to them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. Don't ever, 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 ever.
No, something freedom security don't deserve it.
Yep. Hank Hill wants to know thoughts on the Dogecoin ordeal.
I think it's stupid.
I I think that when it comes to crypto, don't say what can and can't get bigger because people will do things just to spite you.
Yeah, I my issue with it is I don't see it as anything more than just a better Wall Street bets sort of option. It's a fucking it's a meme. It's literally a meme. It's only there because more people are pouring money into it, which is giving it artificial value. The bubble is going to pop eventually. People will lose interest, and that'll be the end of it. So this whole, it's going to last forever, take it to the moon bullshit. That's exactly what it is. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's meme.
Buy
It's
low,
fucking
sell high, like with anything else, though.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
if you want to make some lunch money, then go ahead. But otherwise, I wouldn't.
Brian Gilmartin wants to know why do so many atheists lean left? It seems counterproductive, given how religious the left is about political correctness. So all people have a desire within them for some sort of a power to guide them. We all seek leaders. We all seek guidance. I think that it's just part of the human condition.
Yeah.
Atheists see a lot of atheists that I've interacted with see government as a substitute for God. But it's a God appointed by man. The problem is that you give them all this power. You give any man godlike power, he's going to use it to stomp on you. He doesn't care if you gave it to him willingly. And that's ultimately why it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It's interesting you say that because most of the atheists that I've interacted with, while yes they have leaned left more often than not, it's been more like a libertarian left more than anything else.
Libertarian atheists are a thing. I mean, there used to be
absolutely.
a point where the Libertarian Party was dominated by atheists.
Yeah, I mean, Penn Jillette is probably the most well-known libertarian atheist out there.
Yeah, well, and his argument against it, he's like, what? Because he hates that idea of the fact that left-leaning people see government as God, and he chastises them for it. He's like, I'm an atheist because I don't believe in any gods. You know, like why would
Yeah.
I want like a substitute? Why would I want God Zero? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. The ones that I've known that basically it just amounts to wanting more personal liberty than anything else. Like, yeah, they don't want a God to tell them what to do, just like they don't want a government to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how they tend to fall into one of those two camps. I have known conservative atheists too, but they're very, very rare.
Yes. Let's see here. Melee Brawler says, with men leaning more conservative, women leaning more liberal, do you guys see a decline in marriages and relationships in the near future?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to happen because like we right now the big problem is that nobody really wants to come across the bridge. Um or people are just burning them left and right. And they're burning them in
Yeah.
their own minds. I mean, one thing
Yeah.
that I have found very interesting is that like every um, dating website I've ever been on at this point, there's constantly women on there that are basically saying, if you voted for Trump, I won't date you,
Yeah.
or if you're a conservative, I won't date you,
Yeah.
or this or that. And I think to myself, like, that's you're really going to limit yourself um on finding a potential lover. You know, you just are.
Yeah.
And they're just not willing to build those bridges. They're not, you know, women just aren't there's are honestly too emotional. They're not really willing to build a bridge with what could end up being a good man who wants to work hard for um to earn, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I noticed that even several years ago when I was still doing the OK Cupids and the Tinders, and I don't remember if Bumble was around at the fucking time, but all the dating apps and whatnot, because it's so easy to be able to filter people now. And if I'm not mistaken, some of them now actively have like political view filters.
Yeah.
So if anyone does lean conservative, like they don't even show up on your fucking profile. But I'd also see shit like, if you are anything but left, keep on stepping. And while, yeah, I understand, like, you want somebody to be able to mesh with you on the things that are important to you, shit like politics, the fact that it's become such an important thing for people to the point where they don't want to associate with anyone who questions their beliefs even a little bit, or challenges them, God forbid. The fact they don't want that just shows that I think we're moving towards an even more polarized society, to the point where relationships of all sorts, like not just marriages, but relationships of all sorts are going to be fucking affected. Like, people will have friend breakups even now for, oh God, I can't believe I found out that you voted for a Republican. How
Yeah.
could you do that to me? I take it as a personal slight. How could you do that to me?
Yeah.
Uh,
And ultimately just it results in just furthering the divides.
yeah.
And that's just generally the problem. The fact of the matter is just you're never going to agree on everything in a relationship. You're
No,
just not.
of course not.
And this idea that that's exactly like how a relationship's going to work out is just, I don't know. I don't know what they're expecting.
Yeah. I mean, I think the art of agreeing to disagree is becoming lost as more and more people decide that their humanity is inherently tied to a belief like, universal health care. Like, if you don't believe in universal health care, then you are denying my humanity because I have the right to receive health benefits courtesy of the American taxpayer.
Yeah.
something like that. It's not like a, well, are you racist? Well, then, yeah, that's kind of a, I can understand that as being a deal breaker, of course.
Yeah.
But something like, yeah, you don't support universal health care, or you don't support higher taxes on the rich, well, then you are literally denying my humanity. No, that's bullshit.
Shut up.
Yeah. Stop trying to make every goddamn political plank an identitarian one.
Yes. Speaking of which, Diva Nightrose says, or wants to know, notice the left is using the racism argument as a shield for gross incompetence at best, even though a majority of the left's major figures have used and abused minorities to get where they are. To me, it sounds that where the real racists really are. With that in mind, how do we let these individuals know that by claiming racism to save their own hides, they're only creating an atmosphere of division? Well, at the end of the day, the only way that it's going to come through is at the voting booth.
Yeah.
And the thing is that every president that we get and every elected official we get is ultimately a reaction to somebody else.
Yeah.
And the presidential level is the easiest to tell. Why did we get Obama? He was a reaction to the end of the Bush era. Why did we get Donald Trump? He was a reaction to Obama. Why did we get Joe Biden? He was a reaction to Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
And it tells you something. These decisions tell you something about exactly where the mindset of the country is at. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people when Trump was elected on the left did not pay attention. They thought it was a fluke. Well, they did, and the problem is that they did everything that they could to ignore the lessons that could have been learned from years prior.
Yeah, no introspection whatsoever.
Yeah. And oddly enough, it only feels like now they're starting to get it. I've seen Don Lemon surprisingly being more and more reasonable with some statements he's been making on CNN. Same with Andrew Cuomo. Because he actually, Don Lemon came out and said he doesn't agree with the 1619 Project at all. And I was like, holy shit. But I think that's at some point there's going to have to be a breaking point. At the end of the day, I just say, just encourage people not to vote for them. You know?
Yeah.
And then finally, GTA Driver says, with some people arguing cops go on strike, do you think that'll backfire on our liberties, aka Army as police, for example? Personally, I'm all in for the Ed 209. No, in all seriousness, the cop thing is such a weird situation. I actually was talking to somebody in the Discord server earlier, and they were ranting a bit about that cops do kind of have it even rougher now because of the media, which is true. But I basically said, I'm like, I can't just support all cops because that's supporting the government. And you should never blindly support the government because you're going to end up giving it more power.
Exactly.
And he's like, I never said support all cops. I'm like, you're missing the overall point, dude. And this is what I mean, is that I sympathize with the police officers because there's a lot of good cops out there. There really is. But there's also some bad ones that are within their midst that are just kind of sitting there. And they're not good. And that they're not getting better. And you ain't talking to your chief about it. There's something within... There's the fact that we have so many bad cops on the streets should worry anybody. I completely understand that. And I would say to the good cops, they poison you. They do.
Yeah, absolutely.
They poison you. They poison your reputation. The reason that... Hold on.
Bless.
Thank you. The reason that we have people treating cops the way that we are is very simple. Derek Chauvin is responsible for the death of George Floyd. I don't think he murdered him, but he is responsible for that. And y'all said nothing. And this lady who shot that one kid while she said she was going to pull her taser. That's one of the most inept police officers I think I've ever seen in my life. And a lot of you aren't saying, fire this bitch. Silence speaks words, guys.
Yeah.
You know? And when a good cop does nothing, what's the difference between you and the bad cop at that point?
No.
Your inability to stand up for what's right hurts everybody. And I think that there is a point where cops need to finally start, you know, checking themselves, because somebody else is going to want to check you if this shit keeps happening. You know? Because you're under more of a microscope now than you ever were before. But here's the fact of the matter: everybody is, not just police officers. Every single human being that is in the public eye is under a bigger microscope than we were 20 years ago. Much
Absolutely.
bigger.
I mean, cancel culture affects fucking everybody. So.
Yeah, and it sucks, but you've got to be the best now. You don't have an option. You can't be an okay cop. You got to be an amazing cop. And those of you who aren't amazing cops need to set a standard to become amazing cops, so that people stop looking at the badge and seeing the guy who beat up Rodney King. You need to see they need to see the person who would lay their life on the line for another citizen. You know.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that some of where policing is right now, the harm or the issues with it are self-inflicted. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, should police officers go on strike? That's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It was a bad idea in RoboCop. It's a bad idea here. If they start doing it, though, I do think people need to start paying attention that these guys, you know, we should probably be celebrating the good cops as well. But I don't think that they'd bring in like the Army or the National Guard to start policing.
No, I don't think so either. There needs to be some understanding on both sides of the fucking aisle. Like, cops need to understand that calling out bad policing is not the same as joining the people who are saying all cops are bastards or abolish the police. It's not the fucking same.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad people should not get to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
Bad employee, and that's what you are. You are an employee of whatever city that you're serving in the jurisdiction of. Bad employees get fired. And if you're not performing your duties up to par, then you should get fired for that. That's not a controversial thing. You know, policing shouldn't be any different from that. That said, this bullshit about cops are only shooting all the black people after the George Floyd decision because, you know, it's a reaction to it. They don't want to be held accountable. That is not just nonsense. That's outright delusion.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the conversation about policing is susceptible to these kind of delusions, and it's not even like a confirmation bias that's happening. It's a straight up, I literally cannot view cops as anything but evil, and I will use whatever I possibly can to justify that assertion.
Yep.
And that's fucking wrong. They do serve an important role, and yes, it is serving, it is protecting.
Yeah.
I understand the argument that, yeah, cops are enforcing the laws to protect private property, but cops also enforce the law to protect private citizens too. Yeah. As in, you know, the one cop who shot that one girl who was trying to stab another one that everyone rallied against because, oh dear God, how dare he shoot a teenager, let alone a black teenager, despite the fact that she was actively putting someone's life in danger.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
sorry, but
there needs to be an understanding that there are some things that are not mutually exclusive. You can
exactly.
You can be a cop and be against bad policing, and nobody is asking you to start marching with fucking Antifa. You know,
exactly.
No, nobody is. You know, and Ultimately, I think that there's elements of policing that could end up changing. You know, like, you guys want to know how many times I actually don't see cops smile and wave at people these days? They just don't. I remember when I was younger, I did like that was not a problem. You know, yeah, I get it, guys. I fucking trust me. I understand more than you realize that it can suck to be in that position. But I'll tell you what, man. I've had conversations with friendly cops that literally made my day better, even when I got pulled over.
Yeah.
Because I had a cop one time who said, I got pulled over here in town. It's like 3 a.m. I'm just going to get groceries. And he goes, "You know why I pulled you over?" And I'm like, "I have no clue, officer. I'm sorry." And he goes, and you know what the first thing he said to me was? "Well, no worries. You might not have noticed it, but you got a tail light out. Where are you headed?" And I go, "I'm just going to get groceries." And he goes, "Where are you going, Walmart?" And I just said yes. And he goes, he's like, "Just pick you up a tail light there." And more than likely, he actually knew about my car, because I drive an Impala. And he's like, "The Impala, it ain't hard to switch out the taillights on it." He's like, "All you got to do," and he told me how to do it. That made my night. You know? and sometimes, like, that, it's just a little, and we shook hands, and he, you know, I was like, "Oh, he was a super nice guy." And I felt better. And that's the thing, like, it's very rare that police officers are doing that nowadays. But and I think that that's something that just needs to be understood. Yeah, we're asking a lot. We are, as citizens, we are asking a lot of police officers. We do understand that. But at the same time, if you can't take the job with a smile, and you can't, like, we can tell when you're not proud of that badge. But if you're proud of that badge, and you are proud that you do get to serve the community, then you actually have an opportunity to make that community better.
Yeah.
With your presence alone. If you're smiling to people, if you're waving to people, like, fuck, dude, like, if a little kid just, like, looks at you for a couple seconds, it's like, "Oh wow, cop." You just look down at him, smile, and wave. That's it, and then you just made that kid's day better. And then, you know, like, little things like that will have ripple effects. And the fact that cops aren't doing that these days, I mean, I hear from people all the time. It's like, cops used to be part of the community. Now they feel like they're a gang. And there's truth to that, guys. Like, and that's not how it should be. You're part of the community. You protect us. And a lot more people appreciate you than you realize it. But you gotta give something back. Aside from just that, you gotta, it's like your attitude, your care for the community, that your desire to be part of it. We need that. If we don't have that, you feel like outsiders. And that always is going to make people look at you sideways. You know? I feel bad for cops here in Illinois, because Illinois is probably not a very easy place to police, because everybody thinks everybody's shady here. But that's why it's even more important to put on a, you know, a smile and be happy to be there. You know? All right, let's move on. Eclectic 1995 wants to know, do we think there are some things that in the universe that man should not know? I don't really think that there's anything that mankind will ever discover that we should not have access to. I think that it's just about having the wisdom to use that knowledge properly.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Whatever we're not supposed to know, we're not going to know.
Yeah.
That's about where I land.
Melee Brawler has another COVID question. With vaccination on the rise, do we think the nation will fully recuperate, or Den's going to try to keep things closed for as long as possible? They will absolutely try to keep things closed as long as possible because they want people to be more dependent on government. They always have been.
Yeah. Like we talked about with Biden's speech to Congress. The temporary programs, Dems want to turn those into permanent programs. Like, this was the trial run. So, okay, well, we had a successful trial, even though we largely did not. So we can just implement these programs permanently.
Yeah.
And no, that does not need to happen at all.
No.
actually.
Let's pass on that, please.
Yeah.
So Crystal Hydra wants to know, let's say the unthinkable happens, that a second civil war breaks out. What do you think would start it? What do you think you end it? God, we've answered this question so many goddamn times. There will not be a second civil war because it will end too fast. The fact of the matter is that more than likely I don't see a 50-50 split in the military towards one side or another. I don't see a 50-50 split, even in cities. It's not going to happen at all, so I don't even want to play the hypothetical game at this point. The only reason people think it's going to happen is because Tim Pool won't shut the fuck up. And I'm being dead serious. I'm legitimately sick of the constant Civil War talk from him. Shut the fuck up. It's not going to happen. You need to study history and see what happened before the Civil War and why it fucking happened. Jesus tap dancing Christ, dude. Get a looser beanie. It's choking off the blood to your fucking brain. Next question.
Well, hold on for just a second, because my answer on this has actually changed a little. If we even got to a Civil War situation, it would not be at the grand scale that all the doomers think it would be. It would probably be confined to individual states. Whoever the president is at the time would probably have to send in the National Guard to quell it, and it would be less of a civil war and more of a domestic insurrection. It probably wouldn't get to the level of civil war like we would think with ours or like Syria's, for example. It wouldn't engulf the entire nation. The nation is literally too big for that shit. So any kind of insurrection like that, think like the Antifa riots that we've got in fucking Portland and Seattle and shit, except multiply them a few times and then have the guard come in and actually start gunning people the fuck down because someone decided to start passing out rifles and handguns, and this is our moment, and then the revolution gets stopped in its fucking tracks that same night. That's about the extent of do I think a civil war would happen. That's about the closest thing that I could see happening at all.
Anyway, fuck Tim Pool. Next question.
Yeah, fuck Tim Pool and fuck Doomers.
At what point do we think Crowder went off the deep end? When he came back after Trump lost? It's not the same show that it used to be.
No.
It's not really very funny.
Not.
It's not very funny at all. Whenever he has guest stars on, or guests on, it's never really that interesting to see them there. And the last full episode I watched was the last time he had Brian Callen on. And they actually were discussing the George Floyd thing. And it was when Callen basically said, he's like, yeah, I get all this shit about Floyd, but that doesn't change the fact that he had rights.
Yeah, exactly.
And Crowder basically waved him off. I'm like, well, fuck you, Steven. And that's the problem. I can't stand that. It's childish. I think that, and the other thing is that I think Crowder thinks that he made a compelling argument that Trump should still be president. He didn't. He made a compelling argument that there's fraud, and that there should be laws to prevent further fraud. He made a great argument for that. Did he make a great argument that Donald Trump should still be president? No, he did not. He did not prove that there was enough fraud to overturn elections. You know? And the fact of the matter is that was the case that needed to be made. It's a very simple understanding, and he just he has nothing for that. And then he keeps talking about other conservatives not doing anything about big tech. I'm like every conservative channel that I've watched is talking about big tech and the shit that they're doing. What do you mean, who? And he's like, the conservatives that won't do anything. I'm like, name names, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Name names. Or like
you want to start doing a call out, then call out.
This is the same thing that I say to Rich Johnston of Bleeding Cool all the time. Name names, cite sources, or shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Drop a fucking name. Do you have problems with Ben Shapiro? Then just fucking say it. Do you have problems with Candace Owens? Just fucking say it. Just say it. Have some fucking testicles, for God's sake. Like, you got an issue with somebody's arguments, or just say it. You know? You don't think they're doing enough, just say it. What should they be doing? Make the fucking argument. Stop being such a goddamn coward about it.
Hmm?
Ugh. People wonder why I don't watch YouTube. Like, that's why.
Well, yeah. Crazy people are going crazy. If I had to pinpoint the exact moment where I thought he went off the deep end, it would have to be the Derek Chauvin test.
Oh, yeah.
Where he lied down and had somebody kneel on his neck. He's like, it's not doing anything to me. I don't understand it. Like, fucking...
Let me just put it this way.
Really?
So Steven Crowder and I are about the same height. We're both around, like, he's probably, I think he's 6 foot even. I'm 6'2". And I am, how big was George Floyd? George Floyd was a pretty big boy, wasn't he?
He was a pretty big dude, yeah.
Yeah. I'll just say this right now. Let's say that George Floyd was probably around my size. I'm probably fatter than Floyd was. But, if two little twinks, like what Crowder had kneeling on his back, kneeling on mine, I wouldn't feel them. Not even if they were pressing. But the police officers who were around George Floyd were much bigger.
Yeah.
You know, Chauvin's not that small. I don't think he's a small guy at all.
He's not.
So, if I was kneeling on Crowder's neck, and I'm not threatening the guy before anybody says that, if I had done that, if I had helped with the demonstration, he'd have felt it. And not because, and again, I'm not trying to be mean, even though I've been mean this whole show. But what I am saying is that if a guy my size is putting the pressure on you like that, or even of Chauvin's size, you're gonna feel it. You know, having some little guy that's like 5'6" and weighs $130 soaking wet kneeling on you, it's not gonna hurt. Not unless you're another small person. You know? And that's just the way that it is. Or just another example. If Ben Shapiro was one of the guys kneeling on Crowder's neck, Crowder probably wouldn't have felt it. You know, and nothing against Ben. All due respect to the dude. I think he's awesome. But he's tiny. It's compared to a guy like Crowder. He should have had somebody in there that at least was an expert on these things. Where's Tim Kennedy? Where's Jocko Willink?
Yeah.
You know? Where are these guys that Crowder knows? And that's something I've been wondering ever since the reboot happened. Where are these guys? Where are the people that he would bring on that actually understood the topics that were being discussed? Why is he doing this all himself? And I'll leave. I want to leave the question with that. Honestly, I want people to think about that for a second. And I'll just say this: for some people, narrative is more important than truth. I'll leave it at that. John Weitzel wants to know: is Biden's creepy "we the government is we the people" remark worthy of an exterminatus? No, it's worthy of don't ever trust government. It's worthy of a Mr. Gorbachev bring down this wall. The Gipper is an American hero. We'll just put it that way, and you all should listen to the things he said. Brian Gilmore wants to know, why is it that so many people buy into extreme ideologies when they produce nothing of value? Because extreme ideologies are based off of victim culture. And victim culture basically seeks to empower someone by getting them reliant on a tribe to go beat up the other tribe that is supposedly keeping them down. That's why they buy into it. They're weak. They feel beaten down by something, so they try to find something, some group to make them feel stronger. You know, white supremacists do it. Again, watch American History X. It's a great film.
Yeah.
It's about how Benjamin Sisko solves racism. But no, seriously, it's an amazing film, and
favorite movie of all time. So
yeah, it teaches a lesson that a lot of people, honestly, in this day and age, need to be learning. Because those recruitment tactics, like with white supremacists and Antifa guys, they're no different. They're almost exactly the same.
There's something also about them. They try to recruit people by absolving them of any responsibility for the things that are going wrong in their lives. You know, if something bad is happening to you, it's not your fault. It's this group's fault. You know, point the finger, make the enemy, and establish hatred, an object of hatred. And it gets appealing to people, because who the hell wants to take responsibility for, you know, their own shitty life?
Yeah, exactly.
It's less of a desire to fix it and less of an immediate need to fix it if you can just blame somebody else for it. Intellectual laziness.
Yep. Let's see here. Cackle Atrophy says, saw a vid by Razorfist where he says the Electoral College should be applied at the state level to break the stranglehold of large cities.
I watched that too. I don't fucking know
where to even begin with that. There's nothing that's stopping states from doing that. But even then, given how the makeup of a state is, it wouldn't. Not really, because the city is always going to have the biggest number of votes.
Well, the idea is that it will be like a county by county basis.
Right, that's what I mean.
So because, like, yeah. So even if New York, the argument, as I remember it, was if you have a majority of the counties, instead of like giving them each an electoral vote, then you win. And so states like New York, because a majority of their counties vote Republican, then it would have more of a Republican slant.
Right, and I
New
get
York
it.
City would.
I get it. I'm just saying
that power.
What I'm like it would help a little bit, but it's not gonna completely change the stranglehold. It's just not.
If anything, it would convince them to move out of cities and then make more red counties or even blue counties to try and spread that influence around. I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not somebody who believes that the current demographic is destiny, though.
Yeah,
I never have. I mean, the fact of the matter is that blue, quote-unquote, states get Republican governors all the time. The reason that these cities have the problems that they do is because of the mayors, not because of the governors. You know, Chicago has had bad mayor after bad mayor after bad mayor. But we've switched between Republican and Democrat governors off and on.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like every election it switches.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina is like that too, but then again, we're a purple state anyway, so that's just to be expected.
Yeah. So it's not like this is, generally speaking, my issue with Razor whenever he talks politics, is he sees the world that we are in right now as eternity. Or he doesn't really have a lot of perspective. He just kind of rants. He's good at ranting, I'll give him that. But is there a lot of perspective there? Not in my opinion. So, and I think in this particular case, like, I think, yeah, it might help, but I'm not convinced that the states are in a position where, like, all of them are going to have Democrat governors forever. I think that if we looked at the history of which party is winning the elections in each state by state, you'll see that they're flipping between, oftentimes, from Democrat to Republican. Yeah. There's certain states where it's a stranglehold, but not as many as you'd think. Let's see here. Leonardo Juan wants to know, how would France trade deals change when Le Pen wins her election in France next year? Let's assuming she is going to win. She's not that popular.
Yeah.
Not as popular as people would like to think. And it's going to be a fucking disaster because Marine Le Pen's a goddamn idiot. It's going to get worse. It's going to get insular, and their economy will not improve.
Do you think they'll pull out of the EU?
They might, maybe, but even then, like, Le Pen is an isolationist, just like her dad. The only difference is she doesn't like Hitler as much. You know, and for those of you who are like, Mike is calling somebody a Nazi again, look up Jean-Marie Le Pen, then dig a hole to where you're waist level with me and suck my dick. I'm right and you know it. The fact of the matter is that she's an isolationist. Trade deals are going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
And that country is going to be worse off. Like, I said this back when Macron was elected. Of the two, oddly enough, Macron was the better pick. He really was. I hate to say it. And France has been in chaos with him, too. It literally was the lesser of two evils. Because there were zero French leaders at that time, for that particular election, that were about lessening government, lowering taxes, and things along those lines. It just didn't exist. Everybody was increased taxes, more socialism. You know, it's just gonna go stupid in a different direction.
How long till the next French Revolution?
Yeah. Let me just put it this way, guys. If you have two retards banned from Twitter again, you have two retards that are going in your ear all the time. That doesn't mean that you have to pick one of them. You have another option of telling them both to go away. You know, just because one's in a red shirt doesn't mean you have to support them.
Mm-hmm.
Some people just have bad ideas.
Yep.
Don't support them just because they say you're on their team.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck them.
Which is why don't punch right is stupid.
Yeah, fuck that. Miguel Barrera wants to know, thoughts on some French generals wanting a coup in France to prevent Islamofascism from taking over?
So there's the French Revolution.
God, how do you respond to that? Is there anybody that's Islamic that's even in power in France? In the higher levels? I don't think so.
To my knowledge. In fact, I think they're pretty against Islam too, because if I remember correctly, like, they banned burqas for like government buildings and on public documents and shit.
Yeah, they've been pushing back against that shit.
Yeah.
Under Macron, oddly enough.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little harsh. That's a little jump in the gun there, bud. So yeah, that's a bit much. Fuck. Like, chill. So my reaction is, chill the fuck out a little bit, please. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
Do you want Napoleon? Because that kind of shit is how you get Napoleon.
Good Lord. God, the French just don't learn. Nick White wants to know, have we heard anything about the debacle with John Kerry and Iran? Oh, yeah, John Kerry's a traitor. He's a traitor to the United States, and he should be locked up, but it won't happen under this president.
Oh, no, of course not. Of course not. They won't even be able to get him to testify before Congress.
No.
That's such fucking... You had an admission, a fucking admission from Iran that, yeah, we didn't know this information about Israel until Kerry told us.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. It's on record.
Yeah. Once Congress flips, and it's looking like both Congress and the Senate flip, he needs to be under investigation immediately and be punished.
So fucking lootly.
Yeah. That's insanity. You tried to sell out one of our allies to a state sponsor of terror? Go, fuck off and die.
One of our closest allies to one of their, biggest enemies.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. It's either you are literally too inept to continue serving in this role, or you did this intentionally, in which case that's tantamount to treason.
Yeah.
And I do not use that word lightly. Y'all know I don't use that word lightly.
Yeah. Melee Brawler says, what are the odds of us getting a new state now? Are the odds still the same? Yes.
Yeah.
Alistair Folgore says, how can society revive nuance? Because if Tariq Nasheed and Paul Joseph Watson are the voices of the future, I'm worried. Ooh, I like that question. Because I'm all about nuance. The one thing that I always do is I always encourage people just to not be emotional. You know? Because emotions really, they really can do you in. They can really make you sick in the head. And they can really hurt you as a person if you can't keep them in check. Now, I'm not saying emotion is bad. Emotion is a beautiful thing.
But it tends to trump logic.
Yeah. At the end of the day, my thing is, let my people think. You know, God gave you a brain instead of a potato. Use it. You know, some people prefer the potato. Like they put it in the microwave for 6 minutes. They pull out the brain, they put it into potato, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm smart now." You know, don't do that.
Twitter again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't do that. Think about the things that you're saying. Think about the implications of the things that you're saying. You know, there's nothing wrong with thinking. There's nothing wrong with being considerate. There's nothing wrong with being smart. You know?
Yeah.
Intelligence is not something that should be frowned upon, in my opinion. And yet there are many people who do. And I think people like Paul Joseph Watson and Tariq Nasheed are people who definitely frown on it. I mean, when you're going to sit there and you're going to say something stupid like Nick Fuentes, who got $250,000 in funny money from like some French guy, and you're trying to say he's Rosa Parks, kiss my ass, you limey piece of shit. You know, you're an idiot. Shut up. Go away. With Tariq Nasheed, it's the same thing, accusing everyone of white supremacy. You have no idea what that term means.
No.
You're accusing people of having an ideology that they might not possess. That's cruel. You know? And he'll be like, oh, some people have called this person this. Okay, well, some people call you retarded. Are you? You know, think about what you say. Words have meaning. You know, and if you don't think about the things that you say, you know, that somebody will use those words, turn them into a noose, and drag you to hell with it. You know? And ultimately, that's basically what it is people, it's something that has to happen on the micro level. People here, in this day and age, need to just start saying, I want to think. I want to think about this. I don't want to make the decision right now. I want to think about this. I want to sleep on this. You know, we need to turn the dial down a little bit, just kind of pump the brakes a little, and just take the speed down. Life doesn't have to be done at 90 miles an hour, especially when the speed limit is 55 for a reason.
Yeah, you don't have to answer to shit immediately. There is a thing such as, like you said, let me think about it or let me sleep on it.
Yeah.
Baby, let me sleep on it. I'll give you an answer in the morning.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to entertainment and get away from this depressing shit. Entertainment. Ryan Potter, favorite kaiju. Go.
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Well, I generally like Mothra more than Godzilla, but if we're talking like the one that we would choose to see over everybody else, yeah, it'd be fucking Godzilla.
Yeah. There goes Tokyo.
I like Godzilla movies more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say he's got to go. Go, Godzilla.
John Weitzel says, would you be interested in a D&D setting where orc culture is based off of ancient Mesopotamian civilizations like Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, and Babylon? No.
Isn't that racist?
That's
right. Someone told me that orcs were racist.
But no.
I literally can't tell the difference between orcs and black people.
Somebody is going to clip that out of context.
They probably
and use it against you now. I just want you to know that. And I might encourage Optimus to do it.
I reserve the right to laugh at anyone who does that unironically. To try and score points at me.
My favorite meme about the extra credits thing was somebody's like, a member of extra credits whenever they see an orc, and it was Michael What's-His-Face from Seinfeld in the infamous N-word
Oh,
rant.
yeah. Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, no. Like... So, but no, I like my orcs as barbarians. I don't, don't give them too much culture. They're warrior people, Miguel Barrera wants to know, did we hear about the agreement between Harmony Gold and Big West to release all Macross-related media to the rest of the world, a.k.a. the Macross embargo is lifted? Yeah. I was talking with Xavier about that last night, oddly enough. And, now I want Super Robot Wars with Macross as sort of the foundation.
Now, is that a for real thing that's happening, or is it just we're planning for it? Because I remember a few years back, they said the same thing, but it was we're planning for it, and then I think distribution rights fell through or some bullshit.
I don't know. I don't know the details, but I would like it. Macross is by no means my favorite Real Robot show. That will always go to Gundam. But Macross is fun. Macross can have some interesting bits, got some good drama to it. I just think the idea of a song being what stops a war is very idealistic, and I don't like that.
That just reminds me of End of Evangelion.
Calm Sister Todd.
Yep.
Evangelion deconstructed so many things that needed to be deconstructed. That's part of the reason why I love it. It a lot of it wasn't original, but it was done well. Because a lot of the things that are deconstructed in Evangelion are kind of already touched on in Gundam. But even so. Well, even in fact, even touched on in shows like Zambot and Daitarn 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's because Tomino is amazing. Nick White says, have you heard about Microsoft being in talks with Kojima about making a new game for the Xbox? Probably not going to happen. Kojima Studios, I think, is owned by Sony.
Yes. Yeah, Kojima Productions is definitely owned by Sony. They got him.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. What I expect to happen, if anything happens, is... Because there's talk about they're wanting to try to bring back Metal Gear and Silent Hill. I have a feeling that they're going to be in talks with Sony to have Kojima work on them.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, they'll basically give Sony the rights to an exclusive and basically, say, have Kojima Studios do this, and then we'll just give you the rights to the franchise to do it, which would be wise in my opinion. It would be a good business deal for all of them, because Konami at that point doesn't have to do shit. They basically say, all right, here's the license, do with it as you will, and then this is the parameters of what we want, and go have fun. And that will probably happen. I mean, there's already been talks that there's going to be a Metal Gear Solid remake. Like a remake of the original, kind of bringing it even, it'll be the second remake, but, and I have a feeling that Kojima will probably have something to do with it. In which case, I would just say, be prepared for the Twin Snakes, but with a gameplay style that's a little bit more similar to, Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, but they'll probably make the game bigger and redesign the levels.
I've also heard rumblings that they're trying to resurrect Silent Hills in some capacity.
Yes.
I don't know where that would go. I think you would almost have to have Kojima on board for that, because if I remember correctly, Guillermo del Toro said that he wouldn't do it if Kojima wasn't attached.
Yeah.
And those two were instrumental. So, I mean, crazier shit's happened.
And I would love to see that. I liked Death Stranding a lot.
Yeah.
So I would love to see what those two can do when they put their heads together on a Silent Hill game.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, look how good PT was.
Was our little taste of it.
Yeah, PT was amazing. So, I mean, let's keep this in mind. People consider PT to be one of the greatest horror video games ever created, and it was literally a teaser for a Silent Hill game.
Beyond that, PlayStation 4s with PT on their fucking hard drives are like gold. They're fucking expensive. People will buy them specifically for that. That's how good that fucking was as a demo. A fucking demo.
Yep. Let's see here. This one's been asked a lot, so we're going to answer it very briefly. Seeing as you like the game, what would you like to see in Marvel Spider-Man sequel? Venom. That's basically it. I don't mind Miles coming back, because I think that series' treatment of Miles is better than the comic books. It's
evidenced by the Miles Morales game too.
Yeah, it wasn't
good.
I watched gameplay of it. It's not as cringe as I thought it was going to end up being. It's just Miles. No. Miles does not have a rogues gallery.
No, he doesn't, and I like what they did with it and with him, but yeah, it's clearly it's not the same. He's not the same as Peter Parker, but at the same time, they did emphasize he's not the same, and that's why they did what they did with the Tinkerer too.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
But no, seriously, Venom.
Yeah, Venom.
And I know how the game ended needs to end up being Brock, or people won't like it. It's got to be Eddie. And I think that Marvel knows that. They will probably say, we need to put that symbiote on Brock as soon as possible in this. Because the fact of the matter is, at Marvel Comics, Venom is basically the one franchise that's keeping them afloat. Because even though a lot of people don't like Donny Cates, and I understand why, that comic sold very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Venom is going to be, into perpetuity, one of the most popular Marvel Comics characters ever.
Absolutely.
So,
Al, let me ask this question. And I don't know if you'll be able to answer it, because I'm not going to spoil the end of the Spider-Man game for it. But if so-and-so who was at the end of the game with the Venom tease became Carnage instead,
no.
Do you think that would work? Not at all? Okay.
It didn't look like the symbiote was able to bond with him.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like, and he's in that a vat of like, it looked like goblin formula.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that the person who's doing that is basically throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
Yeah. Is it possible they could become like another symbiote host through
I would.
pure science?
I don't like the sound of that. I would rather we see like a mutant, almost like an Ultimate Green Goblin situation, like a
Yeah.
mutant goblin.
Yeah.
So
Sort of like what we saw in Spider-Verse, I guess.
that too. But the one in Spider-Verse was basically Ultimate Green Goblin.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's hard for me to remember Ultimate Spider-Man sometimes.
I read the whole run. I remember it like the back of my hand.
Fucking, I will never get over how they did Gwen Stacy in that one too. I swear to God, man, the woman just cannot catch a damn break.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Either she's literally fucking Norman Osborn and getting banging her fucking head, or she's fucking Carnage food. Like, fuck, man.
Spider-Man. He can do things, but he can't save Gwen. Ooka-chuck, ooka-chuck, ooka-chuck.
Yeah. You go to hell.
Gwen beat me there, though.
Fuck you.
Oh, Mary Jane for life. All right. Ultimate Agent wants to know Godzilla versus the Zeon. Thoughts? Like all of them?
Which Godzilla?
Oh yeah, it's kind of going to depend on which Godzilla, but like the most recent movie one against Zeon, a Zaku would be enough. Probably, especially if it's piloted by Char. Because Godzilla's how big?
I have no idea.
Like 100 feet tall, I think. And Azaku's about half that. But you're thinking like the armaments are as big as they are, and the Heat Hawk, like that's a bad day for Godzilla. And on top of that, they can fly, or at least Chars can. You know, like that's. So you have a bunch of Zakus, and I'm assuming that you're not just getting Char, you're getting Rambaral, you're getting the Black Tri-Stars, you're getting all these Johnny Raiden, you're getting all these ace pilots, and a bunch of Zakus and Doms, and like that's a like Zeon basically took over the Earth. Like they would fuck up a kaiju. That's the sheer numbers. And I'm not even bringing in. I'm assuming that Char is using his Zaku instead of like his Gelgoog or the Zeong mobile arm that he used at the end of the original series, or assuming that it's not Neo Zeon under Char, in which case he would have the Nightingale, or if it's in the book, or he would have the Sazabi if it's in the show or in the movie. And like no, Zeon takes it.
So the Godzilla from the MonsterVerse is 108 meters tall.
So 300 feet.
Yep. Shin Godzilla is 118 meters tall, and then you've got Godzilla Earth at 300 meters tall or fucking bigger.
Yeah, Godzilla Earth, that's cheating.
Godzilla Earth is just fucking stupid.
Yeah, they would just drop a colony on him. And then that solves it. Let's see here. So GTA Driver says, thoughts on Sony shutting down the PSP, PS3, and Vita stores. It was inevitable, but the PS3 is back up.
It's just the PSP store that's getting shut down now.
Yeah.
The Vita store, they said they're not going to shut down. The PS3 store, they're not going to shut down.
Alistair Fulgore wants to know, how do you handle power scaling in a series? Curious to hear your thoughts on this. Depends on the series. I can tell you how I'm doing it in Lazarus. Is everybody's got a role, and I give them powers that are specific to that role. That's basically it.
Yeah, don't give in to power creep. Power creep is dumb.
Yeah, if there's gonna be power creep, there better be a reason for it. Like in Invincible, it's because he literally exercises to become stronger. The Hulk, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. Like it's the gimmick, stuff like that. So,
yeah, I'm of the opinion that every villain needs to serve a new purpose for the heroes and challenge them in a specifically unique way for them, as opposed to just they're this dude but stronger.
Yeah,
because that's how you get power creep like DBZ has. And like what more can you do when you're literally fighting God?
Yeah.
Like how do you surpass that? Because eventually it just gets to absurd levels, and I don't know about you, but I don't like absurd storytelling.
Nah. Brian Gilmartin says one that actually has a very quick answer. Is it fair to say that the need to deconstruct aspirational heroes, i.e. Superman, is a byproduct of people in general being too cynical? Yes. That's exactly it. So. Zach Loggins says, who would be good casting for Mephisto? Ralph Fiennes.
You don't think that'd be a little too on the nose?
No.
As, Voldemort?
I don't give a shit about Voldemort. I'm thinking about In Bruges.
Oh, yeah.
Doctor Strange comes up to him and goes, that's an inanimate object. You fucking inanimate object! Sorry. If you've never watched In Bruges, folks, just go watch it. It's hilarious. It's a gallows black comedy, but it's pretty funny. Black Knight Rex wants to know, with Outworld Soulstorm, what are your thoughts on the Outworld series? Underrated.
I don't know. I have not played Outworld, so I can't say anything.
I'll just leave it at that. Nick White wants to know, have we played their RE Village demos yet? No. I am trying not to spoil myself. I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to have money to buy the fucking thing.
Because, that's my problem.
Yeah, because right now, RT... Russia's on bank holiday until, like, the 10th. So I'm fucking broke. Which is why I've been taking a ton of reviews lately. It's like, seriously. Like, I am making those my top priority. So that I can eat.
Not so subtle hint for you guys to drop some money into the box if you want Micah to stream Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I would love to stream it too. So, and then Eclectic wants to know, is the reason zombies are so popular in recent decades because of predominant fear of mobs?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so either.
I think the reason why zombies became as popular as they did was a direct response to the surge in vampire popularity.
Really?
Because people wanted different sort of monsters, and they hated vampires. So zombies became the next go-to, and it just exploded from there. Because about the same time where vampires had reached their peak popularity, zombies were starting to hit the fucking scene again.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my running theory, that zombies were a response to the surge in vampire stories.
It's an interesting theory. Completely possible. I just think that I think it kind of harnesses our fear of death.
Yeah, that too.
You know, I think that that's generally
Well,
where I would put it.
death and I guess inadequacy too. Like not being able to adequately fight back against something that doesn't feel pain and can't really die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that too.
Why zombies are cool.
Yeah. And again, they're also safe as villains. I mean, zombies and Nazis.
Yep. Yep. And sometimes Nazi zombies.
Exactly. So, that's all of them. That's all the questions, oddly enough. We made it in an hour and 15 minutes.
We didn't speedrun this, did we?
Not really.
Wow. Shit.
So, before we go then, couple things. The mailing list for Englewood is still up, guys. In fact, let me bring it up so people can see it. The link will be in the description. And, Hatman, what is the progress updates on getting all of the 3 Nights stuff?
So, art books are here, obviously. You've seen those if you pay attention to Twitter. The actual books themselves are supposed to be in tomorrow. That's tomorrow from recording this. We're recording this on Wednesday the 5th. I don't know when it'll be up, if it'll be up tonight or tomorrow, whenever. But Thursday, the 6th of May, is when they're supposed to be in. When they're in, you will see pictures of them posted to my Twitter and to Micah's Twitter.
Yes.
Because we will share them. Because the books will look good. If they look anything like the art books look, they're going to look goddamn amazing. The trading cards, I have no idea when they're supposed to be in, because I had to fix some of the artwork on there, and that took a little longer than expected because nothing was going right, and apparently my version of Photoshop does not like to output the right CMYK colors when they're supposed to for color replacement. Sometimes you just got to do things manually. But anyway, the trading cards should be here at some point, the day after they ship, because the people that we got to do them for us are like right out of Charlotte, which is 2 hours away from me. So they'll be here sooner rather than later, I hope and I think. Aside from that, I think we've got everything else. We've got posters. And then Preston is doing the sketches and the pages.
Exactly.
So,
you already sent him his stuff, right?
No, that has not been sent yet. I need to pack those up.
Yep, send those tomorrow.
So I'll probably do that. I'll probably do that tomorrow when I grab the books.
Yep, and I will remind you. So yeah, and then it's looking like, though, whenever we like the good thing about this playing out the way that it is, guys, is that when these get shipped out to you, they're going to be shipped out whole, as in like you're going to be getting everything you ordered all at once. And you, like those of you who got like everything, you're not going to be waiting longer than those who just got the normal books.
Yeah.
And that's one of my criticisms of a lot of Indiegogo campaigns. In my opinion, don't start shipping until you got everything in, and then you got everything bundled so you can get everybody done quickly, instead of like having this long gap between like the main book being printed and then the fucking ash cans or whatever. You know, just send them all out. Get them done.
Yeah.
All right, folks.
Yep.
So that brings it to an end for us. I need to rearrange my desk, and Hatman probably has to go get food because that seems to be the normal theme.
Actually, it's I was going to say drugs, but that sounds way worse than it actually is. Allergy medication is what I need to go get.
Fair enough.
Because pollen is a fuck.
Yes, it is. For those of you that actually suffer from such things. I don't. So, Hatman, before we take off, any final words?
Yeah, lucky fucking you.
Aren't I just? Guys, we appreciate all of you, just so you know. But until next time, my name is Micah Curtis.
Alex Baldwin, and yeah, pollen is still a fuck.
Yes. We'll see you guys soon. Dave's Fault.
Davis Fault.